Hi guys, it's Amademoni and welcome back to another video. As promised, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about speech delay and child development and our experience so far. So in this video, I'm just going to share some tips on the things to look out for, touch a little bit on our journey, how we got to a point where we realised we needed to try and get a little bit more support for our child in his development journey with language. Like, it's not something we normally talk about in communities of people with colour, in communities where we've got multi-generational homes, or like where we're bilingual. So I think it's really important to understand what we need to be doing, how to encourage that learning to keep growing, but also kind of the things that we can look out for. And of course this also applies, you know, if you're not bilingual or you know, you're not living in like a multi-generational home. The signs to look out for, I think for me, at 12 months, you know, if your baby's still using gestures, pointing, waving and bye-bye are key. However, if your child isn't doing that or not responding to you saying bye baby and stuff like that, then obviously that's then where you start to think, oh, actually, am I communicating what bye means, or hello, are we doing enough of that? How can we do a bit more? Because really at that stage they start gesturing, clapping and understanding things a bit more. So 12 months is a really good point of starting to really analyse communication. And I know a lot of parents generally are quite verbal and vocal with their kids, but again, it just depends on your experience. Because for us, we were both working, so our child went into childcare quite early on, around the 8-9 month mark. He was in full-time childcare, so again the interaction we had with him during Monday to Friday was quite limited, because you kind of get in and then it's time for him to have dinner, bath time, a little bit of play, and then you kind of start the day again. So again, I think it's really important to consider maybe a setting where you're sure that that interaction is there if they're going to be going into childcare. Another thing is, around the 18-month mark, we felt like we noticed that gestures were still a preference, you know, over vocalising things. So instead of asking for a bottle of milk, it was always gesturing to maybe the cupboard that he knew his drinks were in, his snacks were in, that kind of thing. Or if there was a toy he wanted that he couldn't find, he would maybe pull someone to the toy box but not necessarily communicate yellow brick, red car, to kind of give you that idea of what they're looking for. And sometimes at 18 months really, kids should start to understand simple verbal instructions. However, if there are challenges with, you know, come here, put that there, or let's go, and maybe the child isn't sort of understanding that, then those are definitely things to look out for. And sometimes with some children it's just about breaking their concentration on what they're doing to get their attention and make sure they've heard you. So at 2 years really, I think toddlers are essentially meant to be able to imitate your speech. Like, you know, if you say hi, they say hi back, that kind of thing. Do actions and try and produce words spontaneously, and kind of, you know, do things like that. But if you find that they're not saying that, or they're only making sounds spontaneously, and it's still kind of locked into baby language and there isn't any clarity in some of their words. So for example, if their favourite cartoon is Bing, you know, it should be quite clear for them to say Bing. They've heard it quite a lot, it's probably been said around the house, and things like that. And I think when you're at 2 years, if you find that your child's speech is harder to understand, like especially when other people can't understand what they're saying, then sometimes I think that's always a good trigger to speak to your health visitor or your doctor, just to kind of check in and make sure that they're at a point where they don't have maybe any speech impediments or challenges and things like that. But I think I'm going to share a little bit more about our journey and how we got the support that we have and the things that we're doing. So we felt really confident in Riley's ability and what he was able to do, and then we got to about, I think it was 24 months for us, probably 18 months to 24 months, the setting that he was in, and the things that he was kind of achieving. Vocally, we just noticed that peers were like a little bit more vocal in expressing themselves, and just saying what they wanted, and a lot of it was learned speech for Riley. So he knew things like the alphabet, numbers, shapes. He was really, really good at absorbing, but wasn't necessarily conversational about his needs and wants. And I think for us, the main thing that we put that down to was being in a multi-generational home, but also kind of being bilingual, and with that it was layered with that he was our first child. So a lot of things that you're advised to do by your health visitor to encourage independence in the child. For example, coming in from nursery, take your coat off, take your shoes off, put your shoes away, weren't things that we really did because he was our baby. So naturally, I take his coat off, his dad takes his shoes, puts them over there, gets his favourite snacks, and without thinking, we weren't giving him the opportunity to actually express what he wanted to say, what he needs, what he wants, and that's all part of building up that journey of personal care. So that's another thing where in our interactions day to day with our kids, I think we're meant to be encouraging them sort of expressing how they're feeling, you know, feeling happy, feeling sad, all those types of things, which obviously now at the stage that we're at have really come on a long way. And he's quite conversational, quite theatrical, and it's really lovely to see. So once we realised that we felt like maybe there was some elements that we weren't seeing in his behaviour and his communication in comparison to peers, and again, just to say, obviously I'm not a health medical professional, anything like that, and obviously comparison is the thief of joy, but when it comes to children, naturally you think, oh, your peers are doing this, how are you doing with that, do you like that, do you not like that? And this is where you're starting to build up a pattern of the person's personality and things like that. So when we had that conversation with the new nursery setting that we'd moved into, they noticed the same things. I then contacted my health visitor, escalated my thoughts, and we would do a 2-year checkup. In the UK they do them at like different stages, so from the point of birth they do hearing and things like that, and they come back and see you I think around the 12 to 18 month mark, and then they see you again at about 24 to 36 months. So we were due to be seen, and we were seen when he was about 2.5 going on 3, and there were definitely elements and challenges in terms of listening to just like basic instructions, like, you know, he was just doing his own thing, so that was interesting to observe. And then for me, that's where we were then able to kind of try and figure out a plan of things that we could do to build his concentration, to help us as the parents feel more informed and actually understand what we're meant to do, how to conversate, in terms of actually then allowing his language to flow and for him to feel like, oh, actually I need to express what I want, you know, like I can't just gesture. So we had lots of different things going on with that, and then we overall came to a point where we put in place some things that were being done at home and at nursery, and we also had someone that was able to come in into the home setting and play and do play-led learning to bring out that conversational side, reinforce adult-led play as well. So he was always quite a happy independent player with his toys, but then we needed to kind of encourage that conversation of, oh, what's this, what's it doing, it's jumping, it's doing this, and that really helped. And then finally we had our referral to speech therapy, which was fantastic, and that was kind of more helping with expressive language, so being able to get him to then express, you know, if there is a tantrum and it's around crying, to then express, you know, I'm crying because I feel sad, my toy isn't working, that type of stuff. And that's been really, really fundamental, and we've sort of done that in blocks of 6 weeks, a break for 6 weeks, and in our break we would have the setting people that came into the home doing that, then we would go back to speech therapy, and that's been lovely. So you've been on that journey for about 9 months, close to a year, and obviously the build up a lot of the time with the wonderful NHS is waiting, but we're really, really happy with how things have progressed, and we're preparing for school now and really, really excited for that journey. With nursery as well, we had something called learning support plans, so that's another thing, you know, nursery can put in place provisions to try and help build up that language, help put your child in a position where they can practice some of those elements that would help them to be a bit more expressive with peers and different things like that. So that's kind of my experience, a rundown of the things that I think you should look out for in the key milestone ages between sort of 12 months, 18 months, and obviously when you get to about 3 to 4 years, as well as everything else in between. I hope this video was kind of useful. I will be sharing a bit more and probably some of the sessions that we do at home with our little one, and how we play and engage and keep that language developing and broadening. I hope you guys enjoy this and find it useful. Let me know in the comments down below, to all the mums that have had maybe a similar journey or are going through something similar where speech development is a key part of what you're doing in day to day. Let me know in the comments how you're getting on, how you're finding it, especially while we were kind of in the lockdown period. And let me know, give this video a thumbs up obviously if you've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care guys, bye.